Please welcome our last storyteller of the evening, Lily.
Yeah, it's great. All right. So there I was on the bike, and I was shaky. And I was leaning a little left, and I was leaning a little right, and I was barely grazing the parked car that was next to me, but I was safe because he was there, and he looked me in the eyes, and he promised me that he would heave his body between me and the ground before he let me fall. And he had one hand on the back of the seat and one hand on the front of the steering wheel. That's how much I know about riding a bike. I was 24 years old. You want to talk about feeling like a fool? Live until you're 24 years old not knowing how to ride a bike. You know how people say it's just like riding a bike? All the time. You know how little kids learn how to ride a bike and ride their bikes around you, taunting you with this thing that everyone is supposed to know how to do that you don't? That was my life for so long. And it wasn't like it was a big deal in my family. My sister doesn't know how to ride a bike. My dad doesn't know how to ride a bike. And to me, I didn't really get the joy of it. All I saw were the kids coming to school with their elbows scraped open and their knees scraped open. And I was kind of a risk-averse kid, so to me it just felt like an injury delivery mechanism. Like you're going to strap yourself onto this thing so you can scrape the concrete a little faster. And that's how I felt about roller skating and rollerblading and skiing and all of these things. They just were terrifying to me but there was one time I did try, because my best friend was an avid cyclist, and she and her family did this thing where they biked across the whole state of Kansas. So she put me at the top of my parents' sloped driveway when I was 13, and thinking, the momentum will get you going. And so without much instruction beyond that, she just let me go and didn't expect that I would panic and flail and stop with the handlebar twisting sideways and smashing into my chest and falling to the ground. And so I didn't even try again for 11 more years. And it just came to me like a New Year's resolution, like, this year I'm going to learn how to ride a bike. And so I took my inner foolish, painful, secret, and I started telling everyone that I knew, because that was my first step at trying. And so it became this sort of public shame of, how do you live until you're 24 not knowing how to ride a bike? And how do you feel when people say it's just like riding a bike? And what sort of childhood could you have possibly had, et cetera, et cetera. Until my friend Charlie, the bouncer, said, "Don't worry, I know how to teach adults how to ride a bike. Adults over-intellectualize everything, but don't worry. I'll heave my body between you and the ground before I let you fall." So there we were, I'm on the bike, and he rents this warehouse space in sort of the dodgier end of downtown Cincinnati, and it's snowing on the because it's wintertime. And he has his hands on both sides, and I'm getting it, because if you ever need to teach an adult, this is a secret. If you're leaning to the left, you twist the handlebar to the right. If you're leaning to the right, you twist the handlebar. That's why people kind of bike and use when they're biking slowly. And so the neighborhood sort of takes notice, because there's this bouncer huffing and puffing and running, holding onto the bike of a grown woman. And so I hear this chorus of, "Oh, I just taught my 5-year-old how to ride, and he's about to let go, he's gonna let go. Thanks a lot." So before I could even feel the pressure shift on the bike, before I could curse her in my brain, I knew that this was my moment. But luckily I had something that no child has when they learn how to ride a bike. That's right, yoga. Not just yoga, I was taking this class called Breath and Movement, where we stood on one foot for a preposterously long amount of time and switched focal points from the wall to the ground and back to the wall. And so in that moment, that's what I did. I stared at the stop sign, and I stared it down, and I used my breath and movement, and I breathed, and I wasn't, going to make it, and I did. And I got to the stop sign, and I hit the brakes, and I looked back at Charlie, and I just beamed with my entire body, like, "I did it!" And all the ladies in the neighborhood were like, "You did it!" And it was amazing. And that was the first of so many bike rides. And I've not yet scraped up in my elbows and knees, knock on wood, knock on the invisible wood. But the point being, I think the point of all of that is, I don't think it's the fools who take the risk. I don't think it's the fools who go out and declare that they're foolish and are the foolish person wobbling in the middle of the road. I think the people who are really the fools are the fools who declare that they're small and then stay small. I think the fools are the ones who never try. Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you so much.